In the aftermath of the Titanomachy, the cosmos lay in an uneasy silence. The Olympian gods had claimed their thrones upon Mount Olympus, ruling with the unchallenged authority of Zeus, the wielder of thunder. The Titans, the ancient rulers, had been cast into the dark abyss of Tartarus, their rebellion crushed by the relentless fury of the new gods. But in the depths of the earth, beneath mountains and oceans, Gaia, the primordial mother of all creation, seethed with anger. Her children had been shackled, her once great lineage dishonored by the rule of the Olympians. From this deep resentment, she conceived a force unlike any before, a being forged from chaos itself, destined to bring ruin to the new order. In the bowels of the world, amid caverns of molten fire and rivers of blackened stone, Typhon emerged. He was no mere god nor beast, but something far more terrible, a creature born of wrath and destruction. His form was incomprehensible to mortal eyes, a towering colossus whose body reached the heavens, wreathed in seething smoke and shifting shadows. Serpents coiled around his limbs, their tongues flicking like lightning, their eyes burning with unrelenting rage. His wings stretched wide, blotting out the stars, and when he breathed, the air itself seemed to tremble, thick with the scent of scorched earth. His many heads, crowned with fire, roared in a chorus of fury, shaking the firmament. He did not know the warmth of light, nor the tenderness of the world above. He knew only the suffocating weight of the underworld, the crushing embrace of Gaia's vengeance. He was the last, most fearsome weapon of the old world, and his purpose was singular: to bring the heavens to their knees. Typhon's power did not awaken all at once. It grew, expanding like an unchecked storm. He wandered the lands beneath the earth, honing his strength, testing the boundaries of his form. With each movement, the world trembled. His breath stoked fires in the heart of the mountains, and his gaze turned rivers to boiling torrents. The deeper he delved into his own power, the more the earth above suffered. Mountains cracked, the skies darkened, and the winds carried whispers of an unknown terror rising from the depths. The first sign of his ascent came as storms that stretched across the lands, wild tempests that raged for days without rest. Thunder, unlike any heard before, rolled across the heavens, shaking the foundations of Olympus. The gods sensed a change, but they did not yet understand the nature of the force awakening beneath them. Typhon, in his growing might, cast his gaze upon the world above. He saw the dominion of the Olympians, their thrones of gold and their halls of light. They sat in comfort, ruling over land and sky, unchallenged in their authority. He saw the fear in mortal eyes when they whispered the names of the gods, their offerings laid upon sacred altars in submission. He despised it. He was a rightful ruler, the true embodiment of power, and he would claim what was his. With each passing day, his strength swelled and his fury sharpened. The sky above darkened as he gathered the storm within him. He had no army, no allies, no weapons forged by divine hands. He needed none. His body was a storm. His was a fire that would consume Olympus. The time for shadows and whispers had passed. Now, there would be only war. The first assault upon Olympus came without warning. The skies blackened as Typhon rose from the depths, his immense form towering over the mortal world. Lightning cracked, not by Zeus' command, but in defiance of his dominion. The sea churned, waves rising like walls of water, as the air itself seemed to cry out in terror. When Typhon reached the sacred peak of Olympus, the very mountain recoiled at his presence. His approach was a maelstrom of fire and wind, his steps carving great chasms into the earth. The gods, seated in their thrones of divinity, beheld with a mixture of awe and dread. He did not speak. He did not bargain. He struck. Zeus, armed with his lightning, met the onslaught head-on. The heavens themselves became the battleground. The storm god and the storm incarnate locked in a struggle that threatened to unmake creation itself. Thunderbolts crashed against Typhon's form, searing flesh and scales alike, but he did not fall. He retaliated with the force of hurricanes, his claws rending the sky, his breath scorching the clouds. The battle raged, neither yielding to the other. Mountains crumbled, the seas boiled, and the sky became a shifting mass of flame and shadow. But even the gods knew fear, and as Typhon's might grew, the halls of Olympus trembled. The king of the gods, for the first time, felt the sting of helplessness. Then came the moment that shook Olympus to its core. Typhon, in his fury, struck Zeus down, seizing his divine essence in a grip that could break the firmament itself. The sky darkened as the thunder ceased, and for a moment, the world was silent. The king of the gods had fallen. Typhon had won. He towered over the sacred mount, his massive form blotting out the sky, a shadow of doom cast upon the world. The air crackled with his raw energy, a force that defied the heavens themselves. He had torn through the divine pantheon, reducing their shining empire to a battlefield of ruin. The rivers of nectar, once flowed with the essence of immortality, now ran dry, and the once immortal halls bore the scars of his wrath. The heavens trembled, and the earth shuddered beneath his feet. Yet, in that moment of triumph, he hesitated. Victory alone was not enough. To simply conquer Olympus was an accomplishment, but not the fulfillment of his destiny. He did not wish to be a mere usurper. He wished to reshape existence itself, to mold the heavens and the earth into his own vision of chaos and dominion. He desired more than a throne. He desired eternity, an unchallenged reign where none could rise against him. The gods had once ruled with arrogance, their power absolute. He would not make their mistake. He would become more than a king. He would become the only power. His gaze turned toward the heart of Olympus, where the very essence of the cosmos pulsed. The divine forges of Hephaestus still burned, their flames fueled by the primordial energies of creation. Within the great halls of the gods lay the seat of divine power, the force that bound the heavens together. If he could claim it, if he could absorb the very source of Olympus itself, then he would be unchallenged, unshaken, and eternal. As he reached out, the air around him shifted. The winds carried something different now. Not the fearful whispers of fleeing gods, but something older, something vast. A sudden silence blanketed the mountaintop, as if the heavens themselves had drawn a breath. Then, from the depths of the sky, a spark ignited, a single point of light in the darkness. Zeus had risen. The king of the gods, battered and broken, stood once more. His form still bore the wounds of battle, his golden armor cracked, his body marred by Typhon's fury. Yet, in his eyes burned a fire that had not been extinguished. He had been struck down, but he had not been defeated. And now, with the weight of Olympus upon his shoulders, he summoned the full force of the heavens. The skies tore open. A storm unlike any that had ever been witnessed descended upon the world. Lightning, not of nature but of pure divine wrath, ripped through the firmament, illuminating the heavens with a brilliance beyond mortal comprehension. Thunder roared, not in warning, but in judgment. The wind screamed, a chorus of the forgotten gods whose names have been lost to time, now called forth to lend their power to the storm. The heavens themselves became a weapon, a force that even Typhon, in all his might, could not withstand. The first bolt struck, and he staggered. The second bolt carved across his colossal frame, scorching through the scales and flesh that had once seemed impenetrable. The third came with the force of the cosmos itself, sending him reeling, his monstrous form buckling under the onslaught. He roared, his voice shaking the heavens, but the storm did not yield. Zeus did not hesitate. He had faltered once before, allowed Typhon to rise unchecked, but he would not repeat that mistake. He gathered his strength, calling upon the last remnants of his divine might. The clouds above churned, and within them, the forge of the cosmos burned brighter than ever before. The final thunderbolt, the greatest ever forged, descended. It struck with the fury of the heavens, a force not just of Zeus, but the cosmos itself. The very fabric of reality trembled as the bolt tore through Typhon, splitting the sky with its brilliance. The world quaked, mountains shattered, and the seas roared as the force of the strike carved through the air. Typhon, the great terror of the gods, faltered. His serpentine limbs convulsed, his great wings, once mighty enough to cover the sky, fell limp. His fire dimmed, his storm stilled. He fell. His body, a force of destruction made flesh, crashed into the earth, shattering the land beneath him. Valleys were carved from the impact. Mountains collapsed in his wake. The rivers of the world changed their course as the weight of his fall reshaped the very land itself. His rage, though undying, had been silenced beneath the weight of divine judgment. Zeus, now towering above his fallen foe, knew that to leave him unchained would be to invite the storm once more. And so, with the weight of Olympus behind him, he sealed Typhon's fate. The land itself rose against the monster, swallowing him beneath its depths. Mount Etna became his tomb, the very flames that once fueled his fury now consuming him from within. There, beneath the weight of the world he had sought to claim, Typhon lay buried. His roars, once capable of shaking the heavens, became distant echoes, trapped beneath the stone. The fire within the mountain raged, a reminder that though he had fallen, his wrath had not been extinguished, but the heavens had prevailed. The storm had been silenced. The gods, battered and scarred, reclaimed their thrones. Yet, even as Olympus stood victorious, the world would never forget the day when the sky went dark, when the heavens trembled, and when Typhon, the storm incarnate, rose and fell.